Hi there, Isabel Evans here again, and thank you to the Scottish Testing Group for asking me to do this vlog series. So I thought what I might do this time is just reflect on 40 plus years in IT, and the first big question is how did that happen? Because inside, I mean, this is a secret for those of you that are under 40, inside you carry on feeling 30. So you think, oh, I've got all the time in the world ahead of me, and then suddenly here I am, 66, and 40 plus years in the industry. It's flown by. Who'd have thought? Anyway, so it made me think what's different and what's the same. The industry then, the industry now, and actually me then and me now. So one of the things is really thinking about myself, and I was thinking, am I more confident now? Have I got more knowledge now? And it's quite weird because I think in some ways I was more confident when I was in my 30s because I didn't know as much. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think you go through a stage where you do think you're an expert and you know everything, and then you realise you're not an expert and there's a massive confidence loss. And then you start building up again and you realise you do know things and your knowledge is growing all the time. So I would say that's a really odd one. It would be a lesson I would take back to myself as a younger person, that you're going to keep on learning all the time. So all the time you're going to find things you don't know or you don't understand or are new or are confusing. Like doing these vlogs, it's a different thing to giving a presentation or whatever. I'm guessing that's going to be true for a lot of you. And then in terms of the technology, of course that's changed, because when I was first in the industry, there weren't PCs, and there certainly wasn't mobile. And actually it was kind of the beginnings of internet. Interestingly, when I think about artificial intelligence, that was the thing I studied on my computer science degree in the 1970s. And I actually did my final year project on the nature of machine intelligence. And was it possible for a machine to be intelligent? What do we mean by machine? What do we mean by intelligent? So some things have changed and some things are still the same. And I suspect there's quite a lot going on in the AI world at the moment that isn't hugely different in its fundamentals to what I was experiencing and learning about in the 1970s. There's some really fundamental problems there. And we've got sort of bigger processing power and bigger data processing and more data that we can do, all that sort of stuff, interconnectivity. I suspect the fundamental algorithms may be very similar. But still, what's certainly true is the impact of that is different. In terms of mobile and PCs, I'm just thinking I can remember the first time somebody showed me a Windows system with a mouse, and it was very primitive, that primitive GUI, primitive mouse. And I remember just thinking, nobody's ever going to want to use this. It's just so clunky compared with using just a keyboard. So there we are, wrong on all counts there. And of course, as PCs came in, it made an enormous difference to who could use computers and what they could be used for. But still, some things are fundamental, still things around needing good engineering and needing configuration management and good technical skills, still all fundamental to producing a good quality piece of software. So different and yet the same. And obviously when PCs came in and then when mobile came in, there were people talking about the tools and the processes took a little while to catch up. So people were saying, I can remember somebody saying to me, oh, we don't need configuration management systems on the PC because, you know, it's all much simpler than on the mainframe. So we don't have to have all that bureaucracy and structure. And of course, a little while along the line, you do need that control because things have grown and changed. And when I look at things like Agile, you can see a similar impulse that it starts off with people saying, let's simplify down, let's not have too much documentation, let's not have management structures. And then it kind of, almost out of necessity, it builds back up into those multi-layered methodologies like SAFe, for example, where there is structure and there's control, because of course all the time we're not just producing one little bit of software, we're producing a little bit of software that sits within a larger system, that sits within a system of systems, that sits within an infrastructure of business processes and customer interactions and people doing different things. And it is just complicated. And if you tweak one little bit of it, it can ripple through the whole of the rest of the system. So naturally, things are complicated. And I think they always have been, and they always will be. It's part of what we've got to consider. So when we think then about organisations, they've always been worried about costs and timescales and speeding things up, and the whole drive towards automation. I'm not talking automation of software testing here, I'm talking about automation of iron foundries and factory processes and doing payroll and all the other things. All the people's roles and jobs out there being automated is about saving money, saving time, being more certain, all of those different things. Clearly having an effect on people. Organisations have been wanting to speed up and reduce costs and be more certain about outcomes for a long, long time. And all the time, that gives you a conflict between people's autonomy and control over their jobs and what's being done by a machine. And people have been writing about that for decades. So again, it's different and yet it's the same. And you know, I was talking to Sue Atkins the other day. Sue Atkins is on the board for Scottish Testing Group. And she said to me, I think things go in 20-year cycles. So we learn a lesson and then we forget it again and then we relearn it. Or we do things a particular way and then a new way of doing it comes in. And then 20 years later, we're moving back to the old way of doing it. And that made me think that when I was first in the industry, as a programmer, as a developer, I was expected to test all my own code. I was expected to be multi-skilled and be able to do a variety of roles in a small team to do everything. You know, people talk about T-shaped testers and so on and so forth. And then it split, so there were specialist test teams and specialist development teams. And then we've come back to people being multi-skilled. And then actually now I'm listening to people now talking about, well, actually we do need specialists. So it's like a wave. We're going in and out of this idea of we need specialists and separate teams, or we all need to work together. And we keep shifting back and forth between that. And I think this is because what we're trying to do is really complicated and difficult. So we keep looking for solutions to the problems we've got in how we deliver software and systems. And none of those solutions are perfect. So each time we make a change to improve, what we actually expose is not just that we've improved the thing we were looking at, but we've exposed a different problem. And that needs a different solution. And so we move back to a different solution, and now we've re-exposed the first problem we had. I wonder if there's a solution to that overall, or whether that's just we're always going to be swinging on this pendulum back and forwards. So there we are, 40 plus years, no answers. Thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.